So this is a moment to celebrate because DMX's album Exodus 1-7 is finally here, and he's been working really hard on this, and it's unfortunate that he isn't here to get the flowers he deserves and the outpouring of love for this amazing album. And guys, before we actually dive into it, let us know in the comments your favorite track. And I'm interested to talk about this with you because we haven't shared any of our thoughts together. So what were your first impressions going into this, man?
Oof. Man, it was a very deep album because I really didn't have any expectations at all. I mean, DMX has been he hadn't made music for such a long time, and he was coming back with a lot of different collaborators, and that's what I liked about the project. So the vision obviously was to work with people that he wanted. You had a mix of new generation artists, and then after that you also had a lot of OGs that came on this and performed and did their thing. So the track list, once I saw it, I was like, wow, this is actually going to be star-studded.
It's the most features he's ever had on an album.
It's crazy. Yeah. And guys, just to warn you, we're not going to be actually doing any grading system for this. We're not going to be rating it. We think that's going to be a bit disrespectful. Yeah,
it's a posthumous album, and we're just here to
man.
celebrate the guy's career and this album, which blew me away, man. And honestly, I think that as time goes on, this will age to become one of those top tier posthumous albums, along with the Don Cluminati 7 Day Theory by Tupac, along with Born Again by Biggie. I really feel like it's going to be on that level. And I'm saying this after about 3 listens into it. And I mean, like you were saying, that feature list was super stacked, and they all really contributed to the album and gave some of the best performances the whole year, to be honest.
Absolutely. And you look at something, let's say at the first track, we go to, That's My Dog featuring the Locks. And it's beautiful to see how it already starts off on like that grimmy, dark sort of DMX vibe, and how they're all giving their own perspectives of the streets and how they're giving their personal anecdotes about it. So straight off the bat, what type of vibe did you get starting off the track list? Because it was a very, 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 I would say, well-calculated approach to start off the track list.
Look, man, when Swizz Beatz comes on a track and opens it up like he's done on Upward from Lil Wayne, or let's say Welcome to the Jungle for Watch the Throne, every time he starts off a song, he just knows how to hype it up the right way and to kind of get the right energy going. Mm-hmm. And what I love, this happens on, this song on the intro and on every single song on the album, is that DMX always makes the features go first, and he'll finish off the song.
There was only one of them that he didn't. I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, hold on, I had it over here.
I'm pretty sure it's all of them, man.
No, I think it was... hold on a second. I would have to find it. But regardless, anyways, we'll keep going. I'll end up.
But for the most part, he made all the features go first, and then he was kind of the main attraction at the end, and that worked out really well. And I mean, what's amazing about this album to me is that you got the complete DMX package, because he showed you once again how complete of an artist he is. Because the first couple of songs, you get that classic Darkman X vibe where the bars are cutthroat. He's really aggressive. He gives you that, grimy delivery, and I'm all here for that. But then once you start getting into Money, Money, Money with Moneybagg Yo, that's when you start to see the content kind of evolve, and you get the kind of the full picture of this album. Mm-hmm. And it's really about DMX's legacy, man. Not only, the legacy he leaves behind musically and kind of what this comeback album would have been, but also his family and kind of what messages he wants to leave behind for his children.
Yeah, and there's a lot of loose ends that were tied on this project. That was cool too. I mean, if you go to something like, let's say, Walking in the Rain and the sort of subject matter he's talking about on there, beautiful content matter. And obviously this stuff is, subjective to DMX and the sort of stuff that he was going through. But I mean, you could take all of this content matter and apply it to your own life. I mean, looking at, let's say, Letter to My Son, that was beautiful because it was introspection on a different level. Like, he was literally talking about, all of the, I wouldn't say gripes, but let's say nicks he had with his first son, and the way that, he felt as if he was handling things wrong and that sort of stuff, but still sort of showing that compassion
for him. On that thing.
It was beautiful.
And then the violin, man, like the compositions on these songs, the way that they're structured, the way that, all the instrumentals fit together. Yeah. It's masterful, man.
It is. It's beautiful because you don't really see it from a posthumous album, and that's why I'm super happy that he had the chance to complete this with Swizz Beatz. And I was going through his Instagram, and I was looking at the pictures of the studio session. He was bringing his kids to the studio to do this too, and it was a beautiful process.
Apparently, he recorded the album at Snoop Dogg's studio, and after he did the versus battle with Snoop Dogg, that's kind of what gave him the confidence to be like, you know what, I want to make music again, and I want to kind of be in that spirit, be in that mode of, you know, collaborating with new people.
And that's why I like Take Control too. I mean, the type of, I mean, you have, whenever you get on a track with Snoop Dogg, there always has to be that mellowed, laid back production. And that's exactly what we get. And also that track does add diversity to the overall track list, because as you said, like, you know, most of the first portion of the album is really that darker DMX. It's, you know, a lot of street introspection, a lot of him, you know, giving, you know, personal views and personal stories about the streets and his struggle and his come up. Then the second half of it for me was more personal. It was more personal anecdotes about how he's feeling spiritually and how he's feeling about, you know, certain things that are happening in his life with, let's say, family members, as you said. But Take Control was something completely different because it was more of a romantic song within the track list, but it still added like that love story to it, about how he actually cared about a woman and how about, you know, he would go the lengths for her. And then Snoop Dogg comes in and absolutely rides that beat. So how did you fuck with that song?
I loved it, man. I mean, you have that classic Marvin Gaye sample of Sexual Healing, which they flipped that to perfection.
That must have been crazy expensive to get.
For sure. And to me, you know, that song is kind of the modern day How's It Going Down, you know what I mean? Because DMX is kind of getting into more of a melodic pocket. And I mean, going back into a song like Walking in the Rain, I mean, I got literal chills when I heard DMX's son singing the hook at the end of that song, man. Like when I heard that, when I heard also, you know, DMX's son on the skit, I believe it was the Exodus skit, which was, you know, I think his probably 2 or 3 year old son kind of, you know, just calling out for his dad and that sort of stuff. That really touched me. And it just goes to show that, you know, all that DMX really cared about at his life at this point was his family and kind of giving them advice. And that's something that you see on A Letter to My Son, where he's kind of talking to all his kids. And he says, like, learn from my mistakes. Like, you saw that I used drugs. You saw what the fuck that did to me. Don't use drugs, you know what I mean? And those kinds of messages will probably live on with his children forever.
And they'll live with the hip hop community forever, because that's what I think DMX is so good at. Is, you know, I feel as if he's a modern day prophet. Like, this guy just kicks so much game and wisdom, and it's so realistic too. Like, even if you listen to the prayer that closes off the album, I mean, that was probably the thing I was expecting the most, because he always closes off his albums with that one prayer. And like, what I got out of it was just him tying everything together. You know, just, you know, we had talked about the whole thing of, you know, DMX's legacy and what it meant to us. And one thing that I had mentioned was how he's always sort of, I would say, showing all of the negative aspects of life, but always sort of highlighting that silver lining within it. And that's what I love about DMX's album. I mean, you could throw it on this album and I guarantee you it'll probably, you know, help you get through some really tough shit. So
yeah, I totally agree with you.
It's really nice.
I totally agree with you in the fact that, like, DMX is way more than a rapper. He's way more than an artist. He was like a philosopher, man. Like, he was, you know, in that similar light of Tupac. And that's something that he actually says on Skyscrapers, which features Bono from U2. And that
the Bono
song,
vocals were fantastic.
Oh, amazing, man. You have a Kanye produced beat on there. And I was fucking blown away. I'm like, shit, like, you know, he actually got Bono to sing something that could have came off of like fucking Joshua Tree. Like,
yeah,
I was super into Bono as a kid, and to hear him on a DMX album was kind of an unexpected dream come true, because never would have expected it. But if you look at some of DMX's lines on this song, I just want to be heard, fuck the fame, my words will live forever, fuck my name.
Yeah.
Yo, some of these fucking lines hit so deep and so hard, and it leads you thinking like, this is hip hop. This is fucking hip hop music. Fuck all the other shit that came out this year. Right now, as it stands, this is my album of the year, man.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. Yeah, I'd have to give this some time to age with me and whatever it is. But I'm a massive fan of the album. Another track that I love is "Hold Me Down" with Alicia Keys.
Yes.
Like, I was as soon as you see that Alicia Keys feature, you know it's gonna be an absolute fire. And very interesting content matter, because DMX is talking about how, you know, his love for God has the devil working overtime on him, and there's a price to pay and there's a tax to pay, you know, with being loved by God and being with God. And that's what I love about it, is that he's not afraid to talk about, you know, his spirituality and what he believes in. And it gives me motivation to be able to apply that into my own life. And that's what I love about that track. Like, especially the way that Alicia Keys comes in and like lays down those vocals. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. And I really don't think there's any, I would say, other artist that would be able to do that on a track like that. So, you know, especially with overall, just looking at all of the collaborators, how do you think it helped the project? Because, you know, even go to something like Bath Salts with Jay-Z and Nas, like, everything was almost near flawless as far as performances go.
To me, honestly, this felt like a 2000s rap album. Like that's like the kind of vibe I got where everybody played their roles to perfection.
That's facts.
DMX was there spitting, some of the hardest and most passionate verses of his career up to this point, and he got the right people, for let's say the right choruses, the right hooks, and not only that, but I mean, if you
orchestrated.
If you look at a song like Bath Salts, man, I mean. That's everything that Sorry Not Sorry off that DJ Khaled album. That's everything that should have been.
It should have been. And I think Nas actually delivered verse of the year there. I'm not even joking.
Nas washed Jay-Z. That was definitely was Nas and DMX who fucking dominated that song.
But Jay-Z still came in really hot.
He came in. It was a signature Jay-Z flow. I mean, where he kind of emphasizes the last word of every bar.
But I like how it was kind of different than everything else that he's been putting out lately, though. Like that's what had given me sort of a different, fresh perspective, because I haven't heard Jay-Z get in that bag for a while.
Facts.
And it was very different because it was really on this mogul status and him talking about just what he's been doing in his career and how people can't really live up to his stature and how he'll be cemented regardless of whatever goes down. So, I mean, it's always good to hear from GOATs and having them there. And like, obviously, what I liked about it too was for most of the tracks, except for what's it called? Hold on, let me just flip back here.
Hood Blues.
No, Walking in the Rain. That was the only track that DMX actually opened, was Walking in the Rain.
It's true, he did open that one.
That was the only track that he opened, and then I noticed that, and I'm like, that's a very interesting pick for a song to open.
But back to Bath Salts, though. I mean, Nas's verse was out of this world. I mean,
what's your favorite line on it, if you can remember?
My favorite line, it was something like, people are acting like a fool just to get posted on Academics' page.
Yeah.
Like him just talking about, how people are fucking so desperate for attention, in this modern day culture. And it's so fucking accurate, man.
It is.
And his wordplay, I mean, he has one bar. I don't know if I wrote it down. I still be this fly if I worked at Popeyes. That's a whole lot of spinach. Like the wordplay was off the fucking chain. And that was probably Nas's best verse since maybe, I don't know since when. Maybe since
King's Disease. For sure, since King's
Honestly,
Disease.
maybe better than anything on King's Disease to me.
I don't know about that. I'd have to go back to maybe.
I'm telling you, man. Listen to that verse again.
I know. I will. I had it in my notes actually because I was very interesting because I put my headphones on and I was writing down all my notes of the album. And I was just like, whoa, I don't even want to be writing down notes right now. I just want to
enjoy it.
Yeah, I just want to listen to this album. That's exactly what I did once I finished it. So, as a DMX fan, how did you feel the album was being rolled out? Because I think it was beautiful. Like, we got it at the right time. I mean, it was nice. It didn't feel forced. Like, fuck it. Like, there was all the right collaborators. Even shout out Lil Wayne. That song was fucking fantastic too. I got a great fucking tune tree track.
Wayne was on like his fucking Carter 4 flows.
Dogs out.
That was crazy.
You know what I found? It had a similar tempo to Uproar. That was like that was something like because I noticed the drum patterns in it, and then I was like, okay, like I understand why he's using that flow. So that was I didn't get a Lil Wayne verse that spat so fucking hard like that.
His features have been hard though lately, and I feel like someone just put a fucking battery on his back because he's been going crazy on everything, man.
Imagine his next album.
Oh, I can't wait. I think it might be I'm Not a Human Being 2. Or 3, sorry. I'm Not a Human Being 3.
He said he was releasing another installment of the No Ceilings tape, too, collection, right?
Well, he just released that, though. I feel like that's probably going to be
No. Okay, sorry. You're right. My bad. That was a mistake. But regardless.
Let's talk about another song, and that's Money, Money, Money with Moneybagg Yo. This is the one song, I'll be honest with you, when I saw Moneybagg Yo's name on the feature list, I'm like, okay, I fuck with Moneybagg Yo, but I do not see him and DMX meshing at all.
And it sounds great.
It was fucking phenomenal. And the concept behind that song is genius. And some people might not pick up on this, but Moneybagg Yo's verse is pretty much him just flexing about his wealth, kind of the Rolls Royces that he's bought, whatever else. And then DMX comes on and, he sings the hook, money, 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 bitches, 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 whatever. And then he says how a dollar has nothing to do with riches.
Absolutely.
And he's pretty much saying how to be wealthy in life, it has nothing to do with, the amount of zeros in your bank account. And that really hit me.
It did hit me because it allowed and again, the way the track list was formed, where everyone had their part to play, and then DMX sort of closed it. This was the perfect situation where it really worked, because yes, obviously you get this super extravagant, Moneybagg Yo feature, but then like the way that the tempo of the content matter switches just within a hook is absolutely phenomenal. And it's crazy because you don't expect it. You maybe expect DMX to go on more of a mogul vibe, maybe talk a bit more about, the money he made or the records that he sold. No, fuck that. He kept it true within the whole track list. And that's what I like about Money, 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 is that he had that opportunity, but he decided to make it and flip it into an actual concept for a song. And,
awesome.
And what better way to take Moneybagg Yo and, really get him going for a full verse. I mean, his flow was phenomenal on there, and Moneybagg Yo has a really distinct flow and delivery, which I really do enjoy on this production. Then that switch was just like, oh, okay, I understand. There was one thing though, is that I do feel some of the tracks were a bit longer. Like there were some verses where I was like, I wish DMX would have gone longer on this. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I feel you.
Like it's not a gripe though. It was just like if I had to like give myself something that I wanted more
one
of,
little piece of criticism, maybe you're saying?
No, not even a criticism, because the album was perfectly put together for me. Like I'm not gonna rate it, because like I'm not rating posthumous albums, but I mean just the way that I wanted to hear more from DMX. You know what I'm trying to say?
I feel
like,
you.
I would want to hear him again. I would want to, if he didn't pass away, I would have wanted another studio album.
I think we would have gotten him, man, because like he was, kind of changing his whole life. He was getting back into physical shape, getting his spirituality all together. And I mean, you saw in that interview with Drink Champs, like he was super excited to roll this album out, and he was really happy. Another collaboration which I was super happy about was Hood Blues with Griselda.
Let's talk about that.
I mean, I just love that DMX rounded the right cast for this album. I mean, he could have put anybody on this, but he was selective. And I mean, this album, I think, will go down in history, and there's a reason why Griselda are on this. The movement that they have created over the last few years is fucking outstanding. They're, kind of bringing that underground old 90s, golden era sound back into the mainstream. And just to start off with the production, man.
Yeah,
that jazzy flute.
That blues sample in back was absolutely fantastic. You have the song starts off with Westside Gunn, goes into Benny's verse, then Conway. You obviously expect them all to deliver.
Conway stole it, though.
Yeah, Conway did have the best verse on there. But even Westside Gunn was super impressive.
He was chill, yeah.
Like, I really like how he started off the song. But then, obviously DMX, ends it off. And it was just like, wow, it's interesting because there's so many different types of sounds that are going on in here, and like there was so many different switches within it, and I'm like, this feels like a DMX album,
and like
it was put together well.
His vocals are like being like echoed in that song too, so like the vocal effects were dope.
That was another thing I was like, because I had my mixing headphones on and I was like, whoa, the vocals are really well done, and they were really well calculated on this project. And listen, there's some times where like it's very different than what maybe DMX would have done on maybe past projects, but it was cool to see how he was experimenting with new things and how he was like trying to implement maybe new deliveries. Another thing I loved about this were all of his ad libs, like all of the growls and all of the runs. Like I like that about DMX's music, and it adds to the overall production. Not only that, but he would add them while other people were rapping, and then it kind of made you feel like, okay, he's still a part of the song even while someone else is rapping over his song. So it felt super complete.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the best way to describe this album, is that it's complete. I mean, all the collaborations landed, and I mean, DMX truly did have a vision for this album, man. I mean, he apparently had chosen the title for it before he had passed, so he knew that he wanted this album to kind of be maybe, I would say, a time capsule for his children to live with and for his fans to have dear to them, because the content matters as great as it's ever been. The life lessons he's giving you on a song like Skyscrapers, where he's talking about like where there's rain, there's always sun, making the best out of the shitty situations he has. And that's something you get also in Walking in the Rain, where, he's just, rapping about how, no matter his struggle and how he was raised through the dirt, he found a way to make light of that situation. And I mean, the positivity you get through this, it's fucking remarkable, and it shook me to my core, man. I'll be honest.
It did. I listened to this project and I got mad inspired. I mean, that's what you should get out of a track list like this. I mean, anytime DMX gets on a song, you have to expect that he's going to kick some sort of wisdom, and that's what I'd gotten throughout the whole track list. I mean, Walking Through the Rain, or even like something like Bath Salts, or like That's My Dog, or it's just, there's so many standout tracks on here that I'm going to be even able to revisit and put into my playlist.
The skits were really good too, man.
The skits were fantastic. like it just everything was well placed. And I'm gonna go back to that prayer at the end, and it was just like I found that fitting for the end of DMX's career. And I mean, this project's gonna be in my rotation for a while. Thank you guys for watching the whole video. Hit that subscribe button to join the family. We're doing weekly reviews. We're giving you guys all the updates in the industry. Plus, we have our series called What to Expect, where we actually take you through the album before it drops. Plus, if you guys want to chat with us, you guys could join our Discord server. The link is in the bio. You guys could talk hip hop with us there. Thank you guys for watching again. And guys, I'll see you on the next one.